Have you heard of the word simmering or icing? I'm sure you must have. But their literal meaning is not what the Gen Z uses them for. For them, the words simmering and icing mean ghosting. Now, ghosting rings a bell, does it not? What it essentially means is cutting off all communication with someone you've been dating or have been on a date with without an explanation. Now, in the dating world, ghosting, sadly, is quite common these days. But let me ask you this. Can you be ghosted at work? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Have you been invited for a final interview by an HR representative when you thought you were on the cusp of landing your dream job, and suddenly, after several rounds and initial guarantees, that email confirming the job never arrived? Well, that is ghosting at work. Sounds quite horrible, I know. Let me give you another example. Let's say you recently met someone through a video call. It was followed by an intriguing conversation about your work. You said that you looked forward to catching up soon. And a few days later, you sent them a follow-up text, feeling hopeful and excited. But even days later, there is absolute silence, no response. You've guessed it right. You have just been ghosted. When you are looking for a job or trying to build a network, sudden silence can easily shatter your confidence. It can leave you feeling confused, even rejected, just like being ghosted in a relationship or in the dating world. You try to retrace your steps to see where you perhaps went wrong, or wondering whether it is appropriate to follow up or not. Rather than sending a formal rejection or explanation, employers these days are ghosting recruits, potential recruits. Unfortunately, it's become a common practice. A recent study of 1,500 global workers has found that 75% of job seekers have been ghosted after an interview. But it's not just the companies. Even employees are ghosting back. In the same survey, 28% workers said that they had ghosted an employer, while some cut off talks after the initial screening. There were also new hires who chose to not show up on the first day at work. While some say the pandemic has acted as a catalyst, fueling the current spike in jobs to choose from, some say ghosting had become a trend even before COVID-19. Now, people may ghost for a number of reasons, a number of factors here. Most often, it is to avoid a conflict or an awkward situation. And this may stem from social anxiety, burnout, or sometimes even simple carelessness. As popularized by Sigmund Freud, people who ghost often unknowingly follow a classic pleasure principle. So is ghosting also a pandemic fallout, or just an inevitable consequence of discourteous recruitment processes? Or is it just another trend? From personal to professional lives, are we now stuck in a ghosting spiral?